All right, let's just jump right in. For the longest time, we've all thought about data storage as, a digital filing cabinet. It's just a passive box where we stick our important information. But what if that box suddenly got a brain? What if it stopped being a cabinet and started being an active co-pilot, one that actually anticipates what you need and acts on its own? Well, that's the massive transformation we're going to unpack today.
If you're in business today, you know this tension all too well. On one hand, you've got this immense pressure to innovate, or you're going to get left behind. But on the other hand, there's the constant fear that just one outage could cost your company millions. And what's holding it all together? Your data infrastructure, which, for a lot of folks, feels less like a fortress and more like the first thing to break in a crisis.
And this isn't just, a couple of small headaches. For many organizations, it's a full-blown crisis. So let's break down what's really causing all that late-night anxiety. So here's the thing. These 4 problems are all tangled up together. Outages obviously cost a fortune, but so does just not using your storage efficiently. You're just throwing money away. At the exact same time, there's this ticking clock to innovate faster, but your IT teams are completely bogged down just shuffling data around. And underneath it all is the #1 most important job. You have to protect that data. It is a really, really tough juggling act.
Okay, so this is where the story takes a turn. To solve these problems, the old playbook of just buying a faster box, it's not going to cut it anymore. We need a smarter one. We really have to fundamentally change how we think about what storage is and what it's supposed to do.
And this, right here, just lays it out perfectly. The old way treated storage like a bunch of dumb boxes. Everything was focused on the central processor, the CPU, and it was all managed with manual, reactive tasks. You were always playing catch-up. The new way? It's completely different. Storage is now an active, integrated partner in your infrastructure. It's not about the CPU anymore. It's about meeting your service-level agreements, your SLAs. Basically, keeping the promises you've made to your business and your customers. And how does it do that? It's agentic and AI-driven.
Now, I know when I say AI, your mind probably jumps straight to the chatbots we're all playing with, but the brain powering this new world of storage is a totally different kind of intelligence.
This is what we call Agentic AI. And look, its job isn't to write a poem or create a funny picture for you. Its entire purpose in life is to achieve goals. It doesn't just sit there waiting for a command. It takes initiative. It makes a plan, it acts, and it gets the job done all by itself.
So the key difference is all about being reactive versus proactive. Generative AI is reactive. You give it a prompt, it gives you back some content. It's awesome for single, one-off tasks. But agentic AI is proactive. It doesn't just produce content, it produces outcomes. It manages complex, multi-step processes to get you to a final result. Here's the best way to think about it. It's the difference between asking an assistant to write an email for you and asking them to book your entire trip, the whole shebang.
So you really have to stop thinking of this as just a tool that you operate. It's much more like a partner that collaborates with you. It's like having an expert on your team who understands your goals and then just handles all the tedious, annoying steps to make it all happen.
Here's a perfect example of what this looks like in the real world. A user just types out a goal in plain English. Now, the agentic AI doesn't just process the words, it understands the intent. It then automatically figures out all the different commands and configurations needed, executes them in the right order, and then tells you when the job's done. I mean, just think about the amount of time and manual effort that saves. It's huge.
Okay, so we've got this brilliant AI brain, but a brain is pretty useless without the muscle to actually carry out its decisions, right? So let's talk about the hardware, the muscle, because that side of the story is just as revolutionary.
And man, just look at this timeline. The pace of innovation here is absolutely relentless. These FlashCore Modules, or FCMs, have just consistently gotten smarter and more powerful. What started with simple data compression has now evolved to include things like built-in ransomware detection and just incredible data reduction. The real takeaway is that the hardware is evolving just as fast as the software, and it's that powerful combination that makes all this possible.
And all that hardware evolution, it leads to some pretty staggering performance gains. We're talking about a 133% increase. And listen, this isn't some theoretical number from a lab. This is its ability to handle real-world transactions, things like processing online orders or bank transfers. That is a massive jump in horsepower.
And it doesn't stop there. On top of that, we're also seeing a 50% increase in its maximum cache hit performance. So what that means is whether the data it needs is in its super fast cache or on the flash itself, the whole system is just responding dramatically faster.
I love this chart because it tells such a powerful story. The new system is physically smaller than the old one. It takes up half the space in a data center rack.
And yet, in that much smaller footprint, it delivers 77% more bandwidth. You're getting almost double the performance out of a smaller, more efficient package. That is the definition of doing more with less.
So, why do we care about all this speed? I mean, what does it actually do for you? Well, here's a critical reason. When a drive fails, and trust me, they all eventually do, the system has to rebuild that data. The faster it can do that rebuild, the shorter the window of vulnerability when your data is at risk. So all this raw hardware performance translates directly into better data protection. It's a huge deal.
Okay, so we've got an intelligent brain and we've got powerful muscle. What does this actually mean for the people, the IT pros, who manage all this stuff? Well, it means their jobs are about to change in a really, really good way.
And let's be super clear, this is not about replacing people. It's about making them more effective. The AI learns from the human experts. It takes on all the routine, boring tasks, and that frees up those experts to apply their skills to much bigger challenges.
And this right here is the ultimate takeaway. When the system itself handles its own maintenance and optimization, IT professionals can finally stop being firefighters, constantly reacting to problems. They can shift their focus away from just troubleshooting to where they provide the most value, driving strategic innovation for the business. That's a total game changer.
And so that's the big question this whole revolution leaves us with. By turning our infrastructure from a burden that has to be managed into an autonomous partner, we're not just solving today's data crisis. We're actually unlocking human potential to go solve the challenges of tomorrow. So what will you build when you're no longer just keeping the lights on?